4.3 billion people live across this vast continent called Asia, and we are telling their stories. On this edition, Saving a Sinking Tradition, women on a South Korean island have been diving deep into the sea for more than a millennia. Will today's generation of divers be the last? Last tribe standing. Southeast Asia's sea gypsies are being pushed out of their traditional communities, but one group in Thailand is hanging on. And a piece of China in Central Asia. How the ongoing revival of the Silk Road is reconnecting Kyrgyzstan's Dungan people to their Chinese roots. I'm Jack Barton, and this is Assignment Asia. Welcome to the program. Asia is home to many of the world's oldest cultures, but in modern times, many of them are on the verge of fading. In South Korea, female divers known as the haenyeo have been scouring the seas for food for more than 1,000 years. Yet today, these sea women are aging, and there's a shortage of new divers. I travelled to Jeju to meet some of the island's oldest divers and to look into efforts to stop their tradition from dying.
저희 이름은 김심영이고 나이는 80살입니다. 그리고 물질 한 지는 65년간. 저희가 물질 배운 데는 우리 초원에는 물질을 안 하고는 못 살아요. 그러니까 그때 시절에는 우리 태어난 때 시절에는 환경이 참 나빴어요. 그래가지고 뭐 학교도 초등학교 정도밖에 못했어요. 저희가. 그래서 물질을 하여야만 우리 초원에서는 생활을 할 수 있었어요. 그런 거를 해서 깊은 데 들어가고 하니까 바다에 무서운 거는 없어요. 네, 얼마든지 물에서 하는 거를 할 수 있어요. 심장 안 뛰어요. 심장 뛰는 사람도 있지요. 겁이 많은 사람은 심장은 뛰는데 우리는 안 뛰어요.
Korea's haenyeo divers, like Kim Sim-yong, plunge as deep as 20 meters to harvest seafood. The women use a traditional tool called a haenyeo to prise sea urchins and other shellfish from their hiding places beneath the rocks. The haenyeo can also be used to harvest seaweed and agar from the ocean floor. Haenyeo dive without the aid of oxygen tanks, limiting the time they can spend underwater. They only take mature mollusks, which means this harvest is widely believed to be sustainable, with minimum impact on the environment. It's no doubt one of the reasons this tradition is believed to have lasted more than 1,500 years. On shore, the haenyeo empty their nets, cracking open the urchins to release the yellow flesh while sorting the seaweed. But it's a tough life, with plenty of risk and little appeal to young people in a country that has witnessed dramatic economic growth.
우리 시절에는 한 70명부터 시작해가지고 60명, 50명, 40명이 지금은 30, 한 7, 800밖에 안 돼요. 나이 많은 사람은 점점 떨어지고 알로 후생들은 안이 들어와가지고 이 앞으로 점점 줄어들게 됐어요.
In the 1960s, there were more than 23,000 haenyeo just on Jeju Island, about 10% of all women at the time. Once, this was a young woman's job. Now 98% of haenyeo are over the age of 50. Today, just a few thousand women keep the tradition alive.
딸들이 안 해서 그렇지 안 하려고 그러지 나도 배워주고 싶지는 않아요. 굉장히 힘든 직업이라고 생각하는데 아쉬운 점은 지금 우리 해녀의 대회를 끊어질까 봐 아쉬워서 딸이 하겠다 그러면 시켜줄 의향도 있는데 근데 내 마음에서는 배워주고 싶지는 않아.
The local government has asked the United Nations to place the haenyeo on UNESCO's Intangible Cultural Heritage list. Jeju Island has even dedicated a museum to preserving and promoting their long heritage that can still be seen along the coastlines of many of South Korea's islands. Haenyeo still occasionally use these structures as changing rooms, but for centuries they played a far more important role. The women would gather here, often around a fire, to make important decisions for their community. This was essentially the local council. Haenyeo are often the sole breadwinners for their families. They're known for embodying Jeju's matriarchal culture, which made the island an outlier in the country's largely patriarchal society.
얼굴도 볼 수 있고 또 우리가 용돈을 벌고 싶어서 벌어서 우리 쓰고 싶은 대로 쓰잖아. 남편 벌어온 돈은 그게 힘든데 우리가 번 돈은 우리가 쓰고 싶은 대로 딸도 아들도 주고 그렇게 해서 좋은 점도 많고 그래서 좋을 것 같아요.
While the habit of passing the tradition from mother to daughter has largely died out, some young women and even some men from the mainland are showing interest. After watching haenyeo in action, 25-year-old Kim Do-yeon took a break from her art degree in Seoul, packed a single bag and came to Jeju Island, where she enrolled in the world's only haenyeo school.
작년에 갑자기 정말 드는 생각인데 갑자기 해녀의 모든 게 되게 묵직하게 저한테 다가왔다 그래야 되나? 숨빗소리가 해녀가 이렇게 잠수를 깊게 했다가 물에 올라와서 이렇게 길게 내뱉는 소리잖아요. 근데 그 소리가 되게 너무 좋은 거예요. 되게 사람이 낼 수 없는 소리 같으면서 되게 동물적이고 그게 되게 본능적이고 막 그런 게 너무 좋은 거예요. 그래서 약간 그거에 꽂혔다가 물속에서 생과 사를 걸고 그 움직임을 한다는 게 너무나 멋있다 이런 환상적인 생각을 했었어요.
똑같은 거예요. 이걸로
It's early days, and the lessons focus on theory, highlighting the very real dangers the students will face. This school is trying to revive the haenyeo tradition, or at the very least, to save it from extinction.
첫 회는 한 25명을 시작해가지고 지금은 한 65명 내지 70명씩 그 학생들을 모집하고 있습니다. 그래가지고 제 8기까지 작년까지요 430명이 졸업했고.
With all the current efforts, including the school, do you think that the haenyeo numbers will stabilize over the next 10 years?
지난 토요일 날도 해녀분 두 분이 돌아가셨거든요. 그 물질 작업하다가 그분들이 고령이에요. 70대 후반, 80대 초반. 그래가지고 지금 거의 85세 이상 된 분도 해녀들을 합니다. 그러니까 지금 거의 70%가 한 60대 이상 된 상태에서 아무래도 해녀 숫자가 줄어들 거로 예상됩니다.
Of the school's 430 graduates, only 30 have gone on to work as haenyeo. Despite the falling numbers, this ageing community is unsurprisingly tight-knit, often reluctant to let in outsiders. Many of those who still work say they will simply continue until it's physically impossible to enter the water.
수입 많으니까 지금 나이가 80이지만은 그래도 물리가는 거는 뭐 지장 없이 가요. 가서 아무래도 나이가 많으니까 좀 젊은 사람보다는 뒤지죠. 그렇지만은 나 할 만큼은 해요. 예. 그러니까 물질 버리는 것이 제일 아쉬워요. 이제 80이니까 뭐 90살까지는 할 수 없겠죠. 그래서 물질을 버리는 것이 제일 서운해요. 네.
A pity indeed. if this iconic Korean tradition dies with the last generation that was born into what is now a quickly vanishing way of life. The local government on Jeju Island has been supporting the divers as it works to preserve the ancient haenyeo tradition. It's been subsidising their wetsuits as well as their health and accident insurance. Next on Assignment Asia, life for displaced sea gypsies in Thailand.
Culture Express. See the world in color.
Seafaring tribes have long inhabited the seas of Thailand and its neighbours Myanmar and Malaysia. But modernisation and the 2004 tsunami have pushed many from their traditional dwelling places. Still, some are holding on to their ancient way of life, pushing back against the wave of change, like the Moken people of Surin in Thailand. Tony Cheng takes us there.
The Asian Tsunami of 2004 devastated the countries around the Indian Ocean. 250,000 people died, and nearly 2 million were displaced as the ocean swallowed up their homes and their livelihoods. But one group survived relatively unscathed, the Moken, or sea nomads that live along the Andaman Coast.
They even have the oral history about tsunami that saved them, from tsunami, because they know the signal, they know the warning in the sea.
The next decade would be a much greater test, however, as the people who once ruled the coastlines of Myanmar, Thailand and Malaysia were forced off their land and out of their homes.
Today they have become really marginalized, and even though they've been here before the other groups or used marine resources before, the rights, the land rights and then the natural resource, the use rights are not there.
The islands of Surin are an untouched paradise. Crystal blue waters, soft golden sand, and home to Salama Klatele and the last true Moken community. Now over 70, he wants to pass on the traditions of the Moken sea nomads to a younger generation. Originally from southern China, the Moken are thought to have migrated to the islands off the Andaman Coast 4,000 years ago. Their culture emphasizes living in harmony with the sea and careful management of its resources. They lived on boats called kabang and historically shunned material possessions. But fishing, the foundation of their culture and livelihood, is now forbidden. The Department of National Parks have made the islands an environmental reservation. All fishing is banned. Good news for the aquatic environment, but a disaster for the Moken's only source of livelihood. The 5-kilometre limit is nothing for an engine-driven trawler, but out of reach if you're paddling a wooden canoe. Now they're forced to rely on the kindness of passing trawlers, like this industrial-sized fishing vessel. Sometimes they barter, but often the seamen take pity on the nomads and throw down a few fish, recognizing that these waters used to be theirs. When Salama was younger, the Moken ruled these waters, scattered amongst 800 islands off the coast of Myanmar, Thailand and Malaysia. Now they're confined to one tiny bay on Surin, under the jurisdiction of Thailand's National Parks Department, who control management of the island as a national park.
แล้วพัฒนาไม่ถึงเข้ามาจากต้นก็ไม่ได้นี่ก็มาใส่บ้านเขานะนี่ใส่บ้านล้านแล้วที่ทำไมก็ไม่ได้มันจะยิกผมวันไหนก็ไม่รู้
Their nomadic traditions meant that during the dry season they'd travel to different floating communities up and down the coast. In the monsoon, they'd tie their boats together and shelter on one of the islands. But that has all changed. Many of the traditional boats were lost in the tsunami, and their fleet was never rebuilt. This was the last Moken boat ever to be built over 10 years ago. Now the Parks Department has banned the cutting of timber, making boat building impossible.
สมัยก่อนก็ใหญ่อย่างนั้นมากินใหญ่อย่างนั้นนี่ฝรั่งก็มาก็ด้วยฝรั่งนะอย่างซื้อไปว่าทำเรือมากินได้ไหมเพราะว่าเขาไม่ทำเรือเขาจะจ้างตังค์ให้เราก็ทำไม่ได้ไม้ตัดไม่ได้
The only way the Moken community can survive is by selling trinkets and handicrafts to passing tourists.
นี่หัวหน้าคนนี้ว่าผมขอตังค์ไม่เคยขอเขาหรอกคนรู้จักเอามาให้ผมคนรู้จักให้ฝรั่งรู้จักผมก็ผมเขาให้เปล่ายืมมาเอ้าตัวลิดได้แล้วทำไม
Phuket and the Andaman coastline welcome more than 20 million visitors a year, but the resorts and businesses that cater to the tourists' needs have little interest in the indigenous people of the coast or their way of life. Cheng and his wife Yon, who belong to the Orak Lawoi tribe, are still able to eke out a living from crab fishing. They long since abandoned the nomadic life for a small hut on the coast of Krabi. And their community has shrunk as the younger generation went to work in the tourist business.
หมาดอนนั้นมันยายไปโยคังควายลันตามั่งควายภูเก็ตมั่งราเวยนั้นก็แยกมาไม่มีนี่ตรงกลางนกนี่หลังโรงเรียนนี่เลยเขามาทำในร้ายนี่เขามาทำบ้านกันลูกทำมาชีพของเองดีวะบายว่ามันปลดเผยวะไม่มัว
Their dwindling community is one that Dr. Narimon, an anthropologist from Bangkok, has spent decades studying. And she's seen the impact tourism has had on the locals.
Of course, you know, indigenous people, when they want to fish, when they want to moor their boat, the activities are limited by, you know, tour companies and resorts and hotels.
Although they're more integrated into life on the mainland, getting by is hard and poverty widespread.
I think the critical problem for them is land right, and I think the second one is the right to make a livelihood along the coastal area and the marine shore.
Ironically, for a people with a nomadic tradition, the greatest threat to the Sea Gypsy communities is having what little land they have taken away. Much of the coastal land is prized real estate, worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and the property developers have little interest in protecting native communities. This community of Chaole Sea Gypsies on Rawai Beach in Phuket found themselves under attack earlier this year when a group of 100 men tried to close off the access road to their land and their ancestral burial grounds.
27 ตอนเช้านี่ก็คือเขาก็เริ่มมีกลุ่มชายชะกันแล้วก็นำรถแมคโครรถ6ล้อมาบอกถ้าชาวบ้านขัดขวางก็จะตีซึ่งชาวบ้านก็โดนตีไปหลายคนเพราะนั้นนะครับบาดเจ็บไปหลายคน
Several villagers were hospitalized, although the identity of their attackers remained concealed.
ชาวบ้านก็ไม่รู้จักว่ามาจากไหนนะครับก็อาจจะเป็นกลุ่มที่กลุ่มทุนอาจจะพามาเองอันนี้เราก็ไม่รู้จัก
After several hours, the army arrived to break up the clashes, and the intruders were dispersed. But the villagers know it's only a temporary reprieve. The property developers are well connected, and they can afford to drag the fight through the courts for years. The Sea Gypsies are trying to fight back, and ensure their culture survives. This is the 6th annual Sea People Summit, a festival to celebrate the customs and traditions of the nomads. There are young faces in the crowd, but not many. Most have gone to the big towns and cities.
I mean, the young generations, they don't have knowledge, and that's why they don't really appreciate what they have.
The dances and rituals are some of the last remnants of a culture that dominated the Andaman Coast, but also knew how to manage it as a sustainable resource. Now, aside from tourism, many areas here are overfished and polluted.
In their daily life, spiritual component is really significant, and this translates to respect to environment.
Traditionally, the Moken have shied away from modern technology and integration, perhaps in the hope their isolation would preserve their way of life. But the modern world has caught up, and the future is bleak.
ปัญหาเยอะแต่ว่าจะขอป่าไม้ก็ไม่ให้ทำเราอยากจะอยู่แบบนี้แหละชีวิตเดิมเวลาเอาต้องลำแข็งใช่ไหมคือหยาบๆแล้วก็บางทีเรากิน
The Andaman Coast is a place of unique beauty that attracts millions of visitors every year. But the presence of the indigenous people who thrived here for centuries has all but been washed away. For Assignment Asia, I'm Tony Cheng on the west coast of Thailand.
Many international human rights groups have called on governments in the region to recognise sea gypsies as citizens and to provide them with the services that they need to live a decent life. When we return, Kyrgyzstan's Dungan people and what the revival of the Silk Road means for them. More than a century ago, their ancestors fled Western China to settle in Central Asia. But through the years, the Dungan community has managed to cling to its Chinese traditions. As Hanpong reports from a Dungan community in Kyrgyzstan, the revival of the ancient Silk Road is linking the community ever closer to its Chinese roots.
Вообще дунгане любят острые. Вот перец жареный они любят. Вообще все любим. Баклажаны, джуцай, все делаем. Манты, пельмени, супы.
It's like a moment back in time. The language that Takmina speaks, if slow enough, is understandable for most Chinese.
Вот наши ганфа.
Most of the words are Mandarin Chinese, but with a dialect from central Shanxi province that date back to the Qing dynasty 200 years ago. The usual meal at home, mutton, rice and vegetables, typical Muslim Chinese cuisine since ancient times. From the language to their food, many cultural practices that have disappeared in China are still in Takmina's household. But this is not China, and while they keep their Chinese traditions, the Dungan people are not Chinese.
Ну, они сейчас тоже как киргизы. В общем, нормально. Не обижаются.
Their settlement is a half-hour drive from the Kyrgyzstan's capital Bishkek. The village is called Miliangfang, a Chinese word meaning the huge granary. With a population of around 10,000, this is one of the largest settlements for Central Asia's Dungan people. The earliest Dungan people settled in Central Asia in late 19th century. They fled China in the aftermath of a failed Muslim uprising against the Qing dynasty. Today, more than 60,000 Dungan live in Kyrgyzstan. The first task of blending in learning languages, Dungan, Kyrgyz, and Russian. While Dungan is their mother tongue, The children come to school to learn reading and writing.
До школ, вот к нам в этом году поступили буквально 120 первоклассников. Им очень трудно дается русский язык, потому что родной язык – это дунганский. У нас считается родной язык дунганский. Но стараемся давать им знания. Дети, учителя у нас проходят повышение квалификации по разным хорошим методикам, которые быстрыми темпами наши дети изучают русский язык.
But in recent years, the graduates have been pursuing another goal, studying overseas in China.
Дунгане очень активны в этом отношении. Самое главное, у нас-то язык схож, и мы похожи. И вот легко вот в этом отношении принимать самые, можно сказать, в этом сфере вот отношения хорошие. Конечно, с Китаем вот последние годы я вижу, как у нас товарооборот растет. Я вижу, как наши много фирм, предприятий, Дунгане ребята создают вместе с кыргызами, китайцами. Это тоже говорит об одной части.
The business is already underway. Not far from the Myanmar, the Dungan villagers run a brick factory. Business has been picking up, particularly after the installation of modern equipment from China. It now employs some 70 Dungan workers.
Был очень маленький завод, была маленькая печь, производительность была маленькая. Купили, около 10 человек тогда было. Потом поехали обратно в Китай, купили станок побольше и потихоньку начали наращивать темпы. Потом еще раз в Китай съездили, купили большой уже станок. И вот прям в фирму поехали в Баошань, купили станок, и оттуда сразу сама фирма представителя технологов сюда отправила.
These Dungan workers have never been to China, and the Chinese technicians speak neither Russian nor Kyrgyz. But they understand each other most of the time by speaking in Mandarin and the Shanxi dialect. Sun Peizhi is a Chinese technician from Baoshan Company. In Kyrgyzstan, he brought not just production technologies, but also experience in marketing and promotions.
从明年能起步，主要的建设在后年。我们这个一般来说，工作地方，往东说也就是300-400公里，主要是房屋以为的。
The majority of Myanmar villagers still rely on farming. They grow vegetables and raise dairy cattle and then sell them at local marketplaces. But that is also changing. Today, many of the vegetables they eat are imported from China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. This gives them more choices, not only in food, but also in lifestyles other than farming.
Along the Silk Road, the story of the Dungan people is just one example of a deep-rooted tradition here to learn and merge with different ethnic groups and different cultures. Throughout the course of history, countries and borders here in Central Asia may change from time to time, but what doesn't change is the spirit of tolerance and open-mindedness on the crossroads of civilizations.
As efforts continue to revive the Silk Road in the 21st century, Kyrgyzstan's Dungan ethnic group hope to enjoy not only new economic opportunities, but also the chance to reconnect with their roots. For Assignment Asia, I'm Han Peng in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan.
More investments are set to pour into Kyrgyzstan in the coming years as part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, boosting not only trade, but cultural ties between the two countries. You can learn more about this and all of the stories on today's program at our website, www.assignment-asia.com. That's all we have time for this week. I'm Jack Barton. Thanks for watching, and join us again on Assignment Asia. Share your thoughts and contribute story ideas for future shows by contacting us on social media.